The other thing I wanted to talk about today, just for the sake of being able to have videos go up this week, is it better to pull on characters or weapons? I actually got asked this like a lot in the comments of my tier list video of like, hey, if I want Yinlin, does she need her weapon? Or hey, I want Jinshi, but does she need her weapon? Or yada yada yada. And it's like, well, yeah, kinda. Kinda. The 5-star weapons are made to really like buff those characters. But now that I've actually gotten a full look around at what they do, yeah, weapons are better. Big reason weapons are better is because the limited weapons are just going to have the attribute damage bonus scalings or like crit rate scalings aside from like main stat and just all these massive buffs. Chang Li's weapon gives 112% skill damage bonus at R5, which is amazing for like Chang Li or Danjin. String Master gives a bunch of attack stat to Yinlin and a 36% crit rate at max level. Gion's weapon gives crit damage and a bunch of damage bonus for heavy attack damage. I mean, yeah, the weapons kind of help a lot. Is it better to pull weapons or characters? I mean, that's not even a question at this point in the game, because it really is like, if you have Yinlin, pull her weapon. If you have Gion, pull his weapon. If you got Jinshi, pull her weapon. If you got Chang Li, pull her weapon. It's only till later, like year 1 plus, when it's like, do I pull this weapon for this character that I don't want for my character that I do have? Or it's like, what if you want the weapon and character and can only pick one, but you don't have a best in slot for that character, but that character's weapon's best in slot for another one of your characters, I guess is the argument. It's like, if you want a character and you don't have their best in slot, and you can't pull for it, or you want their weapon for a character you already have, which does become that character's best in slot, but you want the character, basically, it's the question of what do you need on your account. Do you want that character with that weapon to be like a better DPS, or do you want that character that is new because they fill a role in your account that you don't have, or you're just like head over heels in love with them, right? So the question becomes less or so, is it better to pull weapons or characters, and more so, what do you need on an account by account basis? As of right now in the game, though, I firmly stand on pull both. Yinlin plus her weapon is better than Yinlin alone or her weapon on like Encore, right? Yinlin plus her weapon is probably the most valuable character on anybody's account at the moment. Jinshi really likes her weapon. It's a big damage increase for her. She can get around without it, but she really likes her weapon. And her weapon really likes her. Chang Li really likes her weapon. It's a big damage increase for her. Her weapon really likes her and Danjin, right? So it like Chang Li's gonna be the first banner where it even really matters, because like we have the one here for Yinlin. It's like, yeah, pull String Master, it's great on Encore, but also get Yinlin first because Yinlin's a better investment than the weapon, just for accounts in general, right? Jinshi is like, yeah, get Jinshi and then get her weapon because her weapon buffs her, but you have to have Jinshi first. Ideally S2 Jinshi first. Chang Li is like, yeah, you want Chang Li, but also her weapon's really, really good for Danjin mains. So it's like, if you can only pull one or the other and you have a cracked Danjin and they're like your favorite character ever, pull the weapon. But if you want Chang Li, because you just love Chang Li, pull Chang Li. But then it's like, can't have both, but you want both, right? Goal is pull both. Pretty much goal is save and don't pull anything and cope forever until you have enough pulls saved to guarantee pity on your favorite of all characters, S6, or whatever sequence is like their biggest damage increase. Basically, like Jinshi needs S6 for damage, S2 for functionality. Chang Li likes S2 for ease of building, and then S6 for massive damage increase, right? And then R5 their weapons. And I guess that's another question too, is like, do I S6 a character or do I R5 a weapon? Outright, R5ing a weapon is much cheaper. R5ing a weapon is much cheaper, and depending on the weapon, much more valuable than a S6 character. Like if you have a character in the weapon and you had to pick, Jinshi, character. Changli, weapon, right? Yinlin, character. Jian, probably his weapon, right? Depends on the character. But from a strictly objective, not objective, but a scenario list standpoint, like we're not talking about how your account's built or anything. Do you pull a character or a weapon? Probably the weapon. I think weapons are really important in this game. Weapons are very, very important in Kuro Games' other game, Punishing Gray Raven, as well. It's just that they're very much more character-specific weapons. But you want them. They kind of make or break the character a lot of the time. Obviously, you get the character first, because in that game, because they're so specialized, it's like, why would you get it if you don't have the character? But in this game, when weapons can go to anybody, if it's a more universal effect, which they all pretty much are, yeah, I get the weapon. Jinshi's weapon is stupid strong the second we have a Broadblade character that scales off of skill damage again, right? Jian's weapon, stupid strong the second we get a heavy attack damage scaling Broadblade character that's not Jian. Yinlin's weapon, super duper strong for a character that likes being off the field. Changli's weapon is going to be the first limited 5-star weapon that's like, yeah, you don't even need to have the character it's made for. It's still a, like, very, very good pull off rip, because Danjin gets massive benefit from it. Spectro Rover also gets good damage from it. Who else? Technically, Sanhua gets a big bonus from it. Danjin, I mean, literally gets like all of it. Danjin might be able to utilize Changli's weapon better than Changli can. That's not even a joke. And then like Yang, and Yang can use it too, to a pretty decent extent, although she's more so ult scaling and like mid-air attack scaling. So it's like Danjin and Sanhua and Spectro Rover can use it too. Like, this is the first 5-star limited weapon that more than just one character can use. Technically, you can use String Master with Encore, and it's like, yeah, that's fine. But the String Master was most, like, the substats were made for Yinlin. Jian's weapon, the substat thing here, was made for Jian. And Jinshi's is made for Jinshi. There's no other characters that can properly, fully utilize this damage boost, which is why it is, like, even for Calcharo, not his best in slot. It's ever so slightly under the free-to-play one. Or, the free, the standard banner 5-star one. And, for the sword, I mean, if it's not, like, hold on, who's it on? Lunar Cutter or the Commando sword is better on characters that don't use skill damage. And, like, don't really care about the damage of their skill. Sanhua, it's okay on, actually, because her skill does okay damage, but she's mostly ult. But it's mostly Spectro Rover and Danjin and Changli when that comes out. And that's going to be, like, actually Danjin is going to want to fight over Changli for that sword. Like, it's good enough on 2 characters that it is both of their best in slot. It's technically String Master's Encore's best in slot, too. But it's not getting the full use for Encore as it is for Yinlin. Changli's weapon actually gets its full use for Danjin and Changli. Like, they both can 100% utilize it, and it's 100% the best weapon on both of them. So, you know, in going into the future, it's like weapons matter more. The buffs of the weapons and the stats of the weapons, especially crit rate weapons, matter a lot. And make it to where you can build your character a lot better as well with crit rate and crit damage secondary stats. Or I guess technically that's a main stat. Whereas new characters, it's like you're just spreading your weapons and your resources and echoes and everything even more thin. So for power of an account, definitely weapons, at least right now. And for diversity of an account, it's characters, of course, but it's like you want the power. This game is very much like, this game's going to be different in the way that it is going to 100,000% be better to not pull any of the DPSs, any of these supports, anybody really at all, until you have enough saved to get your character that you like love and adore and want and then also S6 them and R5 their weapon. Because it's just going to be that much more of a damage boost and able to clear content boost, basically, in the harder content. Because it's not so much trying to survive, trying to have supports. Your damage boosts are negligent after a certain point, really. But the weapon and the character being S6, R5, the sequences change the characters considerably in this game, especially the 5 stars. And the R5 of a weapon is such a massive damage boost that it makes it to where supports do not matter. So you don't need to pull for even new limited supports, really. Because you can just have your DPS be fine on their own. Especially Jinshi and Changli really showcase this one as well. So is it better to pull weapons or pull characters? I mean, realistically, pull both. But weapons is probably more worth it on your account than a character would be. Most of the time. So far from what we've seen in this game. Unlike Genshin Impact. Unlike Star Rail, any Hoyoverse game really. It's like, yeah, you want the character for the team and all this stuff. This game is a lot less about team building and a lot more about your individual skill on a character and how built your character is. So, you know, that's my piece on that.